Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Python GUI Apps Conference 2023. In this session, I will be discussing about the strategies for building and optimizing desktop UI UX. So I'm Priyatham, and I'm a Python developer advocate at Embarcadero Technologies. As part of this session, we'll be building a simple to-do application. So that first we'll build it, and then we will optimize it using the Delphi IDE's WYSIWYG GUI designer. So first of all, this application will look like this after we build it, right? So this is the whole code for that application. If we just get this, I have got this code already copied over here in the to-do-GUI.py file. And if we just run it, then what happens? If you see, it's there you go. This is that application, right? If you just enter some task, let's say the task 1 and add task. If we can press here, or we can even have the switch the focus from one of the component to the other component by tabs, using the tabs. If you just press and keep on pressing or clicking the tab, the focus will be shifting to from one to other. And then let's say if we can add the task 2, and then if we delete task, the first task will get deleted. This is the logic for this specific application. What we have done here, we'll be taking a look on this. So then you see, first of all, any application will be going to the main code at first. So the main, as part of the main, we have initialized the application at first, and then we have set a title for that application. And this is where we have instantiated the to-do app class, which is extending the form. The to-do app class extends the form, and the application will become the owner of that the specific class, which is actually the form, but it's an extended class for that form. So then we need to set a main form first, so that because if we have multiple windows as part of the application, over here it's only a single window application, but if there's a multiple windows, then we need to know which window should be opened at first as we run the application, right? So for that, we need to set the main form and then show it, run it, and destroy it as we close it. So this is what the logic behind the specific piece of code at Rust. And when we just go to this specific part, when it will get instantiated, right? So now using this app instantiation, we can actually get to run all of this in code. When it gets instantiated, then this initialization will run at first, right? So in this, as part of this initialization, we have first set up the caption, which will be the caption of this window itself on top, and it's bounds, right? So that's what we'll be looking. So before looking that, okay, let me just say you that boundations, if you see, the set bounds, the 100, these are the initial 2 places, is actually the origin of that window itself. So origin of the GUI applications will be starting from the top left corner. So, and the 00 of the computer screen, or the monitor itself, will be at the top left corner. So that will be 00, and 100 will be the X direction, 100, and Y direction 100. And then the applications, window, the form itself has this 700 as the X length and 500 as the Y length. So this is what this application, bounds is concerned. So then if you see the app itself, this DelphiFMX itself is maintaining a ownership and parent model, because this application is actually an owner of this class to-do app form. And if you go ahead, then the edit is another component whose parent is the self, which is the form or the to-do app itself. So it follows a ownership parent mode, style-based, structure, the paradigm actually. So then ownership actually maintains the life cycle of that specific, component, and parent takes care of the drawing part. So because say, if you see here, the application is the owner of it, right? So when application gets closed, this to-do app form gets closed. Similarly, if the edit component has the parent as a self, which is a to-do app, so when the to-do app gets closed, the edit doesn't have any meaning because it's get closed automatically. So that's the parent, and the self, so that's the owner, and the parent is like the drawing of that specific component. The drawing of that edit box is in the form, on the form. So it is on the form over here. So that's what the ownership parent, architecture that Delphi follows. If you see here, the form one is the parent, and panel is the child of that form one, and button is another panel or the child. So this is concerned about the drawing of the application. But if you see the ownership itself, the application owns the form one, which is this, but all the other panel and button and edit and everything are owned by the form one itself. They present as part of the form one itself. So then we can have another form which can have so many other components. So that's what this is the ownership part, and this is the parent part, which concerns about the drawing. So all the visual components, this panel and button and edit box and label, are all visual components. So visual components, except the form itself, must have a parent defined, because if not, then it cannot be viewed. Parent itself is specifically for drawing purpose, right? So to design a good UI, you need to have these concepts in mind. So that is what I would like to make you let you take home with this specific slide. So both visual and non-visual components have an owner property. So some components might be non-visual components. Let's say, for example, the media player is a non-visual component, but still it has a owner, but it need not have a specific parent is not of significance in for that, because it's not a visual component. So wherever it is, it doesn't matter. Whatever its parent is, it doesn't matter. So then this is done, right? So if you go to the code, let me just pull over the code besides this, let's say, right? If you go to the code, text box, right? Boss. Hello, Manu. Okay. Nothing. Finished. Not sure, Manu. You only said something is finished actually. You want something you told in the morning, or I'm not remembering that exactly what. Remember, you are saying something, that's something finished. Okay. Very good. Right. How much time will it take for you guys to come home? Okay, fine. Okay. Bye-bye. continuing again now. So as far as the edit box is concerned, over here in the code, if you see that the parents and the set bounds of this specific edit box say that edit box parent is the form, right? So the form itself will be of the parent, so which is the owner, sorry, owner and parent both, right? So it will have, we will need to consider the origin with respect to the edit box. The form itself should be considered as the origin with respect to the edit box, because it's the owner and it's the parent of that, because the drawing part is dealt with the parent. So then 10 and 30 are the if you see the 10 and 30 are x and y directions, and 250 is the x direction length of this edit box itself. This is what the edit box, which I have taken as a zoomed it over to explain you what this set bounds can do for this specific UI is concerned. And then we have the event methods. Event methods are like the Delphi programming is mostly event-oriented programming, where a given event, for example, add task is the button. If you click on that, and that's actually an event, and which will fire an on-click event, and we can have a logic written for that on-click event to handle that specific event. Then that's taken care of using the methods over here in Python, right? If you have this on-click button, then we are just assigning a method for that, and that method will be like adding that items into the list box. So let me just explain you the list box itself first of all. So as far as the code is concerned here, you see the task label, right? The label is the label over here. Enter your to-do task, right? And then it has the properties, which is parent and this text itself, and the edit box itself is already explained. And there's a buttons, two buttons, right? These two buttons are the add task and the delete task. So the text can be added directly as a property using the instance variable of the button, or you can utilize the set props method of any component and define its properties inside that set props method. You can do either way, and you have another variant of the set bounds, which is called as position property, using which you can set the position, and then the list box itself. List box is actually this one. If you see, this is a list box where each and every task is getting added to this list box. So we have empty list box at this point of time. List of tasks is the instance variable we have used to instantiate the list box, and then we have this methods to handle this buttons on click, add task buttons on click, and delete task buttons on click events. So when we add task, whatever we type into this edit box will be read, and that text will be read and added as an item into this list box, and then immediately we set that to empty so that we can add some other task later as and when we require. And then as we click on the delete task button, then the first element will get deleted. That's the logic we have used here. So that's where we have come up with this event methods, right? So now we shall optimize this UI UX design process using the Delphi ID's WYSIWYG GUI designer. And for that, you can actually go ahead and download this Python GUI ebook bundle using this QR code, or even using this link, and get this all the styles for the DelphiFMX and VCL, and every detail about how this Python Delphi ecosystem works, and how these packages came into existence, and what are the offerings that we have as a Python developer for you to develop the GUI applications using Python programming language. So this is what, and then, we shall now go ahead and optimize this using the Delphi IDE. Let me just open the Delphi IDE now. And there we go. The IDE is opened. So now let's create a new project, which is a multi-device application, and blank application, to get us started with the designing of our to-do GUI application. So the to-do GUI application here is, we just take the reference from our code to actually design this to-do GUI application itself. So for us, the form itself, the class of the form, the name of the class is here. If you see, the caption is the top, whatever we have in the design. The to-do GUI application is in the top right. That's the caption. So for that, we can change. And the name is the class name here for the form. And the bounds we have set are 100, 100, 700, 500, right? So 100, 100, those are actually height, and height and width are different, left and top, or else you can have the position. Position itself is a default. Okay, for the form it's different. For the form, you can actually set the left 100 and top 200, so that the bounds, and 700, 500 is height and width. So 700 is the width. Yeah, is that right? Exactly. Because if you see the GUI design itself, right? This is the 700, and this is the this is the 700, and this is the 500, right? The width is 700, and the height is 500. So form itself is set up. So now let us add the label and edit, and button, right? Okay, fine. Let's go. Instead of setting it manually, we can look after the, okay, the both are, it's under the label, edit is under the label, and button is under the label. We should take them, their parent needs to be changed. Their parent is to do app the form itself. So I'm just moving to that. And then now we just need to change the names and their values, the text values. So the labels bounds, let's see first. The bounds are 10, 10, 150, 25. The labels height is 25 as far as our code-based design. We want to optimize that process using the GUI designer. Actually, this is a reverse process we should be following. Like we need to first go design this and then export it and then write the logic for this in this event methods. So that now what we are doing is we have first created the application using the code itself, and then we are designing it so that to optimize that process. So then labels height is set and needs to be set for the width and the position. The width is 150 as it's there, 150, and the position, you see, the position is the X and Y both are 10, 10 over there, right? So let's change that to 10, 10, and there you go. And the name itself for that, what we have given, task label. And after that task label, in the properties, the enter your to-do task is the text for that. The name is task LVL, which will get automatically, by default, the text gets the value of the name, but we can change that. There you go. That's it. So the name is the text is the text value to display, but the name is the instance variable name. To access that specific label in the code, we need to use that instance variable name. That's how we have instantiated the label using that task label variable, right? So that's a similar thing over here. But the point is that we are just doing that process over here, and we'll just export that to the Python afterwards. So that we need to set the edit box now. Edit box has 1030 as its position. So let's just get this. Where is its position? 10 and 30. Is that perfect? Yeah, 1030. And then 250 and 20 are its length and width. 250 and 30. So the width is 250 and length is, height is 30. That's perfect. But I think it's a little, we can just set it here, right? And we can set the button here, the add task and next button. Let us say, first of all, let's edit this button. The name of that button, first of all, what we have given the name, it is add task button, right? The name of that button is the add task button, and the text of that button is add task, and we just can copy and paste that same here into the to-do form and get it here. Under that, we can just have a little, because delete task, the delete spelling is little lengthier, right? So now if we go to this text property of the delete task button, we just need to change that to delete task, and the name of that is now what we have set in our code. delete task button, right? Del task button. That's it. So the edit one doesn't change the name. Edit button have the name of task text box. Variable name, instance variable name, task text box, and there we have it. And we need to have a list box, right? It's a list of tasks name. Let us get that from here, list box, and that is under the form itself. So something like this. We can directly change that width and height and position, the x and y position values directly over here in the properties if you want to, by checking over here what are their bounds. But we can just design it by ourselves instead, right? So this is something we have this list box, and I think we just need to have the instant event methods for this add task and delete task buttons. What you can do is after selecting this add task button, you can go to the event section of this object inspector, and you have this on click event. If you can even double click over here, or either you can double click on top of the button itself. Then you get a procedure created, which is equivalent to the method in our Python code. Like we have this is the event method, right? So the event method, to make this event get exported from Delphi to the Python, you need to comment over here in this procedure, whatever gets created automatically. And let's create the same procedure, similar procedure for the delete task button also. And now what we can do is to export this whatever the design that we have created along with the event methods, so that we can write the logic for that event methods in the Python, because we can't export the runtime logic using this tools to whatever the tool that we have created, the Delphi for Python export. This is button export to Python, which we can use to export the Delphi design based implementation to the Python. For this option to appear in your Delphi IDE, first of all, you need to go to the Get It Package Manager and then download the Delphi, install the Delphi for Python export at first. See, this is the person is coming is to asking me to uninstall. As you guys didn't install it, the button will be to install it, and then as you install, the application gets restarted. So before going ahead to install, take time to save this project. So for that, let's go ahead and save project as, and in the Delphi UI UX, I will just save it here, and I have already saved it, so just I'm replacing it over there. Wherever you feel like to save it, you can save it, and then you can go ahead and do this process of installing the Delphi for Python exporter using this Get It Package Manager. And then as the application gets Delphi IDE gets restarted, you can open your project using this file and open project, and go to that project file which is .d project, whatever the name you would like to give that. At present, I'm just giving this project one.exe, which you can give the other names like the to-do application, to-do project.exe. And then you can go ahead and export it using this button. And we have two options here for you to export, which we have explained in detail in our ebook for you. But let me give you an overview. Export entire current project is an option to export the whole project when you have multiple windows in an application. For example, if you need to sign up for anything, then a pop-up appears to sign up, that fill that form, right? So similarly, we have multiple windows, then we can export the entire project And export the selected forms is an option to actually export the selected windows that you want to, that you want to get exported to the Python, because sometimes we might have many windows created and we don't want to export all of them. So these two options for your flexibility, and we can go ahead with this export selected forms, because we only have a single form here. But when we have multiple forms, you can go to the export entire project. And as you export, it asks to which forms do you want to export. And initialize code is what needs to be ticked, because that's what makes this specific application to have an initialization code, which is the main code, like it is over here, the main section, the main function, which we have explained in our slides. And then as you want to export it, just go ahead and choose the directory where you want to save that at first. I want to save it in the Delphi UX and folder, and create a new folder of Python export. So, or else D for P export. And inside that, let's just select that specific folder to get saved this specific form. So Python file and export it. There you go. Forms exported successfully. And if we go to that location where we have saved it, D for P export, and unit1.pass file is there here. Pause. You can see that unit1.py file gets created over here with the unit1.pyfmx file. So it is actually taking this .pass unit file as it's a Python file, and the same file name with the form file. The form file is what contains the data about the data about the drawing of that GUI, whatever it might be, like the information about where is this specific component placed, and the design data. So let's just open it over here, and let's go over, just refresh it, and in the D4P export, unit.py. So if you can see here, it is same code as this one. Means there's a little difference over here, like it is having the main function which gets fired over here, similar to over here, and the to-do app gets instantiated with the application. But instead of to-do app here, it is we have the to-do app only. To-do app is only the form's name, so to-do app gets instantiated and with the class of the to-do app, where in the initialization process, all that designing, whatever we have done over here, the setting up the label and setting the props, instantiating the label, instantiating the edit component button and all, and setting the properties and placing it, and giving the on-click methods, assigning to that as a property. All of that process is being implemented automatically for us in this export process, and we just need to get this logic to add task button and delete task buttons, so that our task of writing the logic will be finished. Let's just copy the logic from here for the add task button click event method, and similarly we can just get this delete task buttons logic from here, and there we have this, right? Oh no, sorry, let's copy it from here, right? And then now we can just because now we can just run it, and there you go, the same application, and we can just add the task 1 and add task, and oh no, list of task is unknown attribute. And okay, because our tasks, the list of tasks is what the instance name that we have previously, and we have copied and pasted the same thing. But here we didn't have the list of tasks. We have this list box 1, which we didn't change the name of it when we are designing it. For other components, we have changed the instance variable names, but this list box is concerned, we didn't change the name of it from list box 1. So we need to update that to the list box 1, and the task text box is the same variable name, and list box 1 here again. And there I think is what now successfully will get. Let's save it and run it. There you go. Task 1 and add task. Yes, it gets added successfully. And the task 2, and oh, sorry. The task 2 gets added, and task 3 gets added, and task 4 gets added. And as and when finishes, we just build task, and task 2 gets finished. Task 3 is finished, and task 4 is finished. And that's what the logic here. And there you go. The same code we have implemented with the Delphi for Python exporter. There's logic for this similar logic. Only thing is that we have this unit1.pyfmx file, which is the data or the information about the design, where you have this X position, Y positions, height and width, and other informations like on-click event, which event method needs to be called at that time. All that information gets embedded in this the PyFMX file, and we are just calling that PyFMX file by load props property of the the form itself, and we are loading that properties. Yeah, there you go. This is actually the optimization process that we are implementing for whatever the designing that we have done in a crude way earlier in this specific Python file. So in this way, we are just finished our task of designing and then optimizing it afterwards using this Delphi WYSIWYG GUI designer. More complex applications will be created and explained to you in other sessions, like the music player and the tip calculator application, and also how we can actually use this DelphiFMX and other offerings like Python FMX Builder to create Android applications in other sessions. And thank you all for watching. Thank you. And hey Ian, bring up the questions. Let's answer them. Thank you.
So Priyatham, who was just in that last video, is with me. Hi, Priyatham.
Yeah, hi, Ian.
Perfect. We can hear him. That's good. I saved some of the questions. We had a lot of people commenting on the various things. I think if we just take the first one, I'll show that on the bottom third. That should show up, which it is. Good. That's working well. See, not everything's broken. So the question was, is this license suitable for open source projects? How does it compare to the most common licenses, Apache, GPL, and MIT?
This project is actually MIT license, whatever we are working on. You actually can take it off and create your own, take on this Python package and create any of your GUI applications, and without any issues. It doesn't, you have the rights to create any, products. And I actually, we were thinking to roll out this design, like the future of WYSIWYG GUI designer, if possible. It's one of the plans in earlier times that to get it into the PyScripter IDE, or else maybe the FMX builder itself, or else so that if you create some business-based applications, like you can have some license, like there is a Flutter, you have Flutter stuff, right? So similar
Right.
to that, we were thinking to plan, but that's what we will come up with that plan. But as of now, the license is suitable to create any of the applications that you of your choice.
Perfect. So I think the
Yeah.
answer is yes, it is just like all the others as well. I mean, as Eli
GPL is
pointed out,
something different. GPL is like maybe you need to actually make your application, yours application also open source, whatever you create. But MIT gives you that freedom to make yours application source code closed if you want,
yeah.
if you choose to.
Yeah, so you can use it, but you need to provide the library that is MIT registered, but you do not need to provide the source code for yours. And if you make amendments to the MIT covered library, then I believe you're supposed to supply the amended version. I'm not sure.
I'm not. We're not lawyers, but we just the stuff is like
Exactly. Yeah. We need. All I would say about this is what Eli said in his video earlier on, when our platform magically broke, which is that licenses change all the time. We're not lawyers. I'm a developer. Priyatham is a developer as well, and we kind of understand the stuff. But before you go and rely on any advice you've seen in anything that you've said, consult someone who actually understands a legal person and get their advice, because you can't count on us. I completely disclaim all responsibility. 90% of what I say is completely useless. So,
until and unless we actually give some licensed products. This is actually open source projects. So if we actually can take that responsibility of that licenses, until and unless we give something of licensed products of paying something for us, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks a lot to Mikhail Kozmin. We appreciate that. Here's another one. To Priyatham, is DelphiFMX better for creating a canvas with animated images and drawing it based on exact coordinates? And I know there were some answers to this, but I did say
perfectly, actually. Sure, but the point is that there is something called as Skia, which is can be used to create animations at present using in the Delphi. But there is a Python port of that actually is present, which you can use. But if that is, which we are still in work in progress, which we might want to focus on it it's in our roadmap. If it is not working, that Python export hand in hand with the DelphiFMX Python package, then we might want to wrap that stuff as part of the DelphiFMX for you to create animations using the exported classes from the Skia through DelphiFMX. Maybe that's a kind of a three-way wrapping process. First of all, there's a Skia, which is actually used in wrapping for the sake of Delphi, and again wrapping it for the DelphiFMX is a kind of a three-way wrapping stuff. We are trying to kind of as we have this Python wrap of that DelphiFMX already available, maybe we can actually have that work hand in hand with the DelphiFMX Python package if possible. And if it's not working that way, then we might want to do it like this, because after all, we want to have that capability to create that animations smoothly using the Python package.
And I'm a very big fan of the Skia project, and Skia for Delphi project in particular, but Skia in general. And if nobody knows what Skia is, if you go to, I think it's skia.org, but if you want to read about the Skia for Delphi, then it's skiafordelphi.org. But it's used in Flutter, and it's used in all sorts of places to power 2D graphics. And it will play animations. If you're familiar with Telegram, and you open the Telegram app and you can do some Telegram animations. The thumbs up animation is quite a popular one. That's a Lottie animation.
Animojis.
And Skia allows you to play Lottie animations. It's a very, very powerful library. It's very fast. It's if you use it in Delphi and it's used with FMX apps and VCO apps, it makes it go faster for FMX, but it also adds a load of capabilities. Does lots of S3Gs. It does what's the word I'm looking for? Like the shader. So that's the word I'm looking for. So it can provide shaders, which are, if you've never seen one before, I can put a background behind me with a sea, a rippling sea with waves on me, and that could be done with a shader in one line of code, one line. So if you're not sure what skier is, you should really get into it and find out. It's absolutely amazing. It's a Google project, but it's used.
And actually, we would like to bring that capability into the Python package, that the DelphiFMX itself, as and when it's possible, and how can we actually work hand in hand with that to make our applications support animations.
Yeah, and the follow-up question was, especially working with coordinates while zooming on a canvas proved to be very complicated in Tkinter. Tkinter is great. It's the de facto library, but like all things that are great, there's always some caveats and holdbacks, and Tkinter has a few of them. I've seen some great videos using Tkinter and explaining how it works, but DelphiFMX, we're biased. I work for Embarcadero, who sponsor this conference, and DelphiFMX comes from Embarcadero, and it's a project that Priyatham, your team lead, aren't you? What's your actual title?
There are no roles, actually. We both.
Oh, okay. So you're one of the guys. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so I know
Lucas actually have started working on it at first, and Jim is one of the persons who actually advocated for it. Starting, and then I joined it more than a year ago, and we are working on it from then.
So he's being very modest, everyone, because I would say that I deal with Priyatham quite a lot in all sorts of other ways to do with our Python GUI.org site, for example, and he works very hard. So we have different time zones, and we always seem to meet up, even though one of us should be asleep at some point. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
and as for the question itself is concerned, the Tkinter scaling stuff, the FMX scaling is very kind of powerful. Even you have the components present in the application. As you scale the app itself, the GUI, then the components get scaled automatically. Using the FMX scaling, which we have that support in our DelphiFMX Python 2, which we might want to give an examples as it were as and when it's possible.
Yeah. The restream people are now panicking, and the support person saying, "Is everything okay?" It's yes, you should panic. You messed us up there. These things happen. I mean, everybody that's watching on the stream, and I can see that some of you are still here. When people talk about don't push to production on Friday, because you should never go home and have a load of new changes out on your live system. Well, the other thing to say is don't push to production when people are using it. So that would be my other preferred option would be to, check nobody's actually using your product before you make some changes, because that's what happened to us. B. Venner says, can we get access to this video after this call? Yes, you can. We will have replays and download links for any example programs, and download links for all the slides for all the sessions.
We will be having a GitHub repo for something like that for the codes and all of the codes, right? Is it like that?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and how will we tell you about them? We'll tell you about them in the same way that we've got hold of you in the first place. So we'll probably send out some emails with the replay links and stuff like that. That normally happens automatically. We'll also make sure that we contact you on our social media networks and the other ways that we get in touch with people. And we'll probably do a blog post about it as well, because that's what we do. So if you go to blogs.embarcadero.com, we've got a load of blogs there, and we'll try and make sure that we've got an article just wrapping everything up and telling you where to find it. We know people don't always watch the live stream, that they tend to watch the replays. if you go to our YouTube channel, which is Embarcadero Technologies at YouTube, subscribe to that. We'll make sure a little bell rings when we upload new videos and things like that. It's should be fine, and you'll get notified. Sorry, again, the support person say, "Hey, is everything okay?" It is now. Okay, so I think we're reaching 2 minutes away. So, Priyatham, is there anything you want to wrap up with? You've got 2 minutes to say something impressive.
I have other 2 sessions also
where
so we have so many stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate
as
your
far as
input.
this UI